So this encounter takes place at Trout Lake on May 29th, 2015. So working graveyard shift, I'm usually off pretty early in the morning. So I had planned all week to head up to this lake as soon as I got off of work. So as soon as I clocked off, jumped in my rig and headed towards this lake. The whole week we had nothing but rainstorms and everything. I tried to get my buddies to go up with me, but they're like, no way, man, it's going to be thunderstorms all weekend. So nobody wanted to go with me. I wanted to go camping, so I headed out to this lake, going solo. And I had never camped out here up to this point. And I was just really excited about getting up to the lake. As soon as I turned onto the road and started to climb up into some higher elevation, the cloud line was right along in just floating through the trees, and it made it a very eerie drive as I drove out to the lake. Had to take it real slow because the clouds and the fog was just really thick, so I just took it real slow and got out to the lake. As soon as I pulled into the campground, it was just this eerie feeling in the air, maybe just because it was a new place for me and I was out there by myself. But, a thunderstorm had just passed through. Everything was wet and the lake was just perfectly calm and still. And, I didn't hear very many birds chirping and doing their thing. It was just kind of a peaceful but eerie feeling. So I wanted to get out here as early as possible because there is a campground at this lake. It's very small. There's only like maybe 5 or 6 spots. So I wanted to be out there and make sure I had a spot, just in case other people showed up. So once I chose my camp spot, I opened up the back of my rig to start pulling gear out. And up on the hillside, I heard 2 very strong, distinct wood knocks. And this is about 8:30 in the morning right now. And that got me a little pumped and a little worried because I wasn't expecting to get any type of action that soon, And when you're by yourself, your mind just starts playing with you, So I waited a few minutes to see if, any more knocks would happen. Nothing happened. So as I was, unloading my car, before I decided to set up camp, I headed down to the lake and just had a look at that. And I could see that there was another thunderstorm off in the distance moving my way. So I decided to gather up a bunch of firewood and that was left over at some of the other campsites. So while I was doing that, I heard what sounded like a tree falling over up on the hillside. And it was pretty loud. But I kind of just disregarded it because it is a very hilly area. We had tons and tons of rain. So I was just thinking maybe it was just erosion, old tree just fell over. So I just kind of just pushed that out of my mind. And I was just gathering firewood. And once I got back to camp with all the firewood, I heard a second tree fall over. And in the exact same location. So I was like, what are the odds of hearing 2 trees fall over? But, of course, I just kind of wrote it off, oh, it's just, erosion or, just a bunch of old trees falling over.
Just heard a tree fall. It's the second one today. Right up there up that hill somewhere. It's kind of cool. I mean, hearing a tree fall once in the woods is pretty rare. but to hear two in the same general area, it's kind of interesting.
So after that, I had to kick it into high gear because I did have a major thunderstorm moving my way. So I had to get camp set up and get a tarp set up and everything else, get my firewood covered. So I did all that and got everything squared away, and that's when the storm hit. And here's some video of what the storm was like when it hit me. So after the storm blew over, I got up and started prepping my camping gear and getting the fire going. And while I was doing that, I heard something coming through the treetops and then a loud thump. I turn and I look, and I don't see anything. And it was kind of odd because it came from the treetops. I could hear it coming through the leaves and the branches and stuff. And I just assumed, because of that storm, something probably just, fell out of the tree and hit the ground. Well, I continue, get my fire going, and I started hearing something even bigger coming through the brush. So I turned immediately, and what I saw was a large rock, probably about the size of a bowling ball. It came down the hill, crashing through the bushes, and landed right into the middle of the creek with a big splash. So I glanced up, and what I saw still has me a little puzzled. It was only a few seconds of what I saw, but what I saw on the hillside in between the vegetation was a slender looking upright figure that was jet black. I didn't see a head, I didn't see any legs, I just saw the mid-torso area. And that really stood out to me was it looked wet or oily, because the black was kind of shiny looking, like really shiny looking. But it darted from right to left on the hillside, and I mean it moved fast. And all I saw was that mid-torso area and what looked like one long arm like swinging behind it as it took off. And I mean, it took off super fast, and I could hear feet fall. I could hear some thumps, and then it was gone, dead quiet. And I'm really not sure exactly what I saw. It definitely didn't look like a bear. It didn't move like a bear because it was slender. And the arm on it was quite long. So that freaked me out. And I've only been at this area for maybe 2.5, 3 hours now, and I've already heard wood knocks, some trees falling over, and now a rock being tossed down at me, and now seeing a figure take off. So I stayed in camp that whole day, and I didn't venture out very far. I just kept studying the hillside, and I always carry a sketch pad with me because I like to draw and do stuff like that. So I did a quick sketch of what I saw, and once I got home after my camping trip, I sat down and sketched out a little more detailed thing of what I saw. So here are those pictures. So here's the first sketch I drew while I was in camp. And here is the second sketch after I got back home.